Imagine this: you're standing in the middle of chaos. The sky is thick with smoke, the ground is shaking, and all around you, soldiers are falling. The air smells of gunpowder and fear. This is the Battle of Caloocan, one of the bloodiest and most heartbreaking moments in Philippine history. A battle that tested the courage of Filipino warriors against the unstoppable force of the American army. How did it all come to this? Stay with me, because what happens next will shock you. The year was 1899. The Philippine-American War had just begun, and tensions were at an all-time high. The Americans had already taken control of Manila, but the Filipinos were not giving up without a fight. General Antonio Luna, one of the fiercest and most brilliant Filipino military leaders, knew that Caloocan was a strategic location. If they lost it, the Americans would have an open path to conquer the North. The stakes were sky high. On February 10, 1899, the battle began. Thousands of Filipino troops, armed with rifles, spears, and undying bravery, stood against the well-trained and heavily armed American forces. But here's the painful truth: the odds were never in their favor. The Americans had warships, machine guns, and better-trained soldiers. It was a fight between sheer courage and ruthless firepower. The Filipinos fought with everything they had. The battle was intense, and the streets of Caloocan turned into a graveyard of fallen heroes. The air was filled with the cries of wounded soldiers, the clash of bayonets, and the deafening blasts of artillery. General Luna gave everything, but the American forces were relentless. By the end of the battle, the Americans had taken over Caloocan, leaving the Filipino forces shattered and in retreat. The loss was devastating. Thousands of Filipino soldiers lost their lives, and the Americans took control of one of the most important strategic locations in the war. But here's what many people don't know: this battle was not just about land. It was about pride, resistance, and the unbreakable Filipino spirit. If you've made it this far, I know you're just as invested in history as I am. And if you're enjoying this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. It really helps us keep telling these incredible stories. And trust me, you don't want to miss what's coming next. Now, you might think this was the end of the Filipino resistance, but you'd be wrong. This was just the beginning of a brutal war that would stretch on for years. Even after losing Caloocan, the Filipinos refused to surrender. Guerrilla warfare became their new weapon, and they made sure the Americans felt their presence at every turn. The spirit of the revolution burned brighter than ever. The Battle of Caloocan was a loss, but it was not a defeat. It became a symbol of Filipino resilience, a moment in history that proved the indomitable will of the people. The fight for independence continued, and though it took years, the Filipinos never stopped believing. And guess what? That's exactly why we have the freedom we enjoy today.